Well, every day is a day to be thankful, especially today, Wednesday, January the 15th, 2025. Good morning and welcome to your perfect morning starter right here on Channels Television. Of course, we're up bright and early as always, and I'm here with my brothers. Good morning, guys. How are you doing?
Good morning, Bukola, and today is Armed Forces Remembrance Day. So good morning to Nigerians, good morning to everyone who has laid down his life and who is still putting his life or her life on the line for the safety and protection of our sovereignty. Thank you so much for your service. Good morning. I'm Jeffrey Uzama.
And just recently, the government had to put an extra celebration. So Armed Forces Remembrance and Celebration Day. So it's for those who served and those who are currently serving. And that's how we start the show today. Thank you for your service. I'm Kayode Okikilo. This is going to be a big day across the country.
Absolutely.
Particularly in the nation's capital, Abuja, at the Cenotaph, where, of course, Channels Television will be bringing you all of the images from the wreath laying to the usual honors given those who have served the country and are still serving the country. So big day, January the 15th.
Yes, a day of gratitude, thanking those who have served, not just those who have served, those who have sacrificed their lives, those who have paid the ultimate price. It's also significant to note that it's not just marking, the day of celebration of the end of the, the war, but also the celebration of the Civil War, the end of the celebration of the Civil War, and is reminiscent of the fact that that important conversation, the elephant in the room, Nigeria is yet to have it, and we're still having, issues that are a spillover of the Civil War. A day to reflect on that and to hope especially that conversation will be had and those issues will be addressed, and then Nigeria can move forward, and then those agitations will be assuaged in Nigeria's southeast. But we thank those who have paid the ultimate price, those who continue to battle on the front lines to ensure that we're able to keep our eyes closed and sleep, and those who are still trying to fight banditry and insurgency in the northwest and in the other northern parts of the country. Is also significant to note that yesterday the House of Representatives decided to increase the defense budget, and we saw the Chief of Defense Staff appear before lawmakers. We hope that it's not a product of political correctness, but regardless, we hope that the important elements of defense budget will be prioritized, and we can see the ripple effects in the fight against insecurity in every part of the country. Guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 55 years since that war. When people say that, particularly the younger generation, when they say, what did it feel like? And when we ask, you can read, you can watch videos. Thankfully, there are videos, but you don't want to experience war at all. It's better imagine. It's better you read about it, see the images. I mean, you can just look at what's happening in Gaza, for example. You can look to what we've seen in Syria or Russia, Ukraine. Yes, I know it's hard to imagine what those people are going through, but you can at least see and maybe put yourself in their shoes. Believe me, it is nothing to even want to experience remotely. It's like your life is uprooted and there's no semblance of normalcy, really. So you sleeping and waking up is not, you don't take it for granted because you don't know what may happen. Even every passing moment is not given, really. So for those who lived through it, for those who are still haunted by the trauma, the PTSD, the point Bukola raised, we need to ensure we do right by them, and that's what this day is.
Absolutely. I like the point you raised about for those who haven't experienced war. No matter what we do, that path is not the path to go.
At all.
I know that some politicians can be reckless. If you look at Nigeria's history, for every time the military kicks, every time we go into a crisis, is the recklessness of the political class not agreeing on certain interests, and then things snowball and then eventually get to war. I have experienced communal clash. I was just a teenager in my village going to school, and then this thing happened between two communities. You can't sleep. You see people go to this battlefront. You see them go, and then people return and they say, where there are 4 or 5 persons? Say, they died. Sometimes you see people carry their bodies and all of that. So it's not funny. If you've experienced riot, it's a joke. riot is as crazy as it is. That's a joke. I have experienced communal clash. Let's not say full-blown war, but I mean people were being killed on both sides. Guns fired. You can't sleep. You hear things, rumor, and you start running. It's a very bad situation. It's not something anybody should talk about. So whatever it is we disagree over, let's disagree under the premise of democracy. There's always a way to disagree, to agree to disagree, and find a path. That's why everybody has to agree that, look, war is a no-no.
And so on this day, January the 15th, we have our servicemen prayerfully in our thoughts today, and we of course focus on their welfare in our conversation today, looking at the contributions of veterans and those still in service. What exactly is their current state of affairs as far as their pensions, their remuneration is concerned, their conditions of living? We'll look exactly at that space and see how we can help, by our own conversation to improve their lot.
We'll also get to look at some of the headlines from the dailies and give some reviews as to what the dailies are reporting across board, from the Vanguard to the Guardian to other dailies, as to see what they are reflecting as far as the polity is concerned. That is going to be part of our conversation right here on the program.
And you can tell that, of course, the Armed Forces Remembrance and Celebration Day will be big on all the front pages. We honor our fallen heroes and reflect on the sacrifices of Nigeria's armed forces in securing our borders and protecting lives. We also touch on the all-important conversation about their welfare during service and after retirement. So we're big on the Armed Forces Remembrance and Celebration Day.
And of course, we have other things lined up for you in our bumper package. We have the art of pantography, which is delving into the art of using some unique techniques for painting.
All right, we'll chat with Dana Hamilton, and this gospel artist from Old Gold Coast, Kwaba, Ghana. We'll get to speak with her and what is making her think and why she chose this path of music. That is going to happen towards the end of the show. And that will not be all, though.
Certainly. We're helping you watch your money. Wherever they may be invested, not the ones in your pocket, don't worry. Those ones are safe. Yeah, we'll talk about the banks being sanctioned, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the stock market trends. And our business correspondent, Ladi Williams, joins us, who says that young people do not invest, are not very investment savvy.
Young people are now,
exactly.
I see things on social media and I'm impressed. Young people are now talking T-bills, bonds, equities. I'm like, okay, this looks good. Those are the exclusive reserve of economists and those who trade. But now that's the beauty of fintech, guys.
Yeah.
All of these fintech companies who have created this app that some of us can stay here. You can buy fixed income assets, or you can any of these asset securities in the market, whether it's fixed income or equities, right here in Nigeria and across outside the country. But what tickled my fancy, I like TikTok more than every other social media. I don't know, they should not ban TikTok here. So I just see young people teaching about how to invest in T-bills, bonds, commercial papers. I'm like, okay, I like it. So they are now saying this is January. If you have 18% interest on your T-bills, for instance, and then you put it out for 1 year. You say put $1 million naira, you can see 1.8. That's
18%, that'd be 180.
Yes, 180. 180. I was thinking 10 million. Forgive me.
So you got an extra zero to it.
180,000. So if you want to prorate it by 6 months, you get half of that money. So rather just put it in savings. But if you like risk, you can put that money in one equity. At the end of the day, you can get 200%.
You see how excited some people are about investing. You could be a part of this show.
We should talk to Jeffrey. Some of us need to get more adventurous this year.
Like start with small money.
Take some more risks this year.
It may not be much money. Just put small money. Just use it to salivate.
There you go. So you can be a part of the show on WhatsApp. We're big on WhatsApp. So send us your messages. What do you think about investing? Are you investing this year? That's a conversation we'll have, and particularly about the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. So yes, WhatsApp, you'll see the number with which you can be a part of the show on your screen any moment from now. But where are we starting from?
Yeah.
The dailies.
We'll take the dailies. Which of the dailies should we start with, Cloudy?
Quite a number of
Quite a
them.
number of them.
Lined up, so
So let's get started right away with the Vanguard newspaper.
Yeah.
The Vanguard newspaper is the one we're starting with this morning, and there you have it. So the Armed Forces Remembrance Day may not be the big story on the front page of the Vanguard. By the way, this has been days in the making, and even months. That's why you see us wearing the emblem. But the Vanguard leads with the power sector. Underfunding, huge debts, root causes of power sector failure. As supply falls below 4,000 megawatts, creates more hurdles for households and businesses. NERC orders Fidelity Bank to divest. Power sector outlook gloomy. That's from CPPE. Power Consumer Assistance Fund is key. Power up Nigeria. So, page 14, you'll find more details. I think it's fair to have the power sector on the front page of the Vanguard this morning. I know someone who said, can we just for 1 year focus on power? In fact, I've heard people say if power is fixed in Nigeria, they would return home.
well, let's hope that that happens this year so that they can return home, because we do have some very, very incredible professionals outside Nigeria that should be contributing to this economy, and we're missing out on their expertise and creativity in many different ways, in fintech and in other spaces, and we've had quite a number of conversations with them. To put it this
To
set.
put it mildly, power is actually the oxygen of an economy. No matter what you plan, no matter what you're trying to do, if you can't get power right, forget it. Bukola, you have the next one.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of power, let's move to this Nigeria. This morning, this Nigeria also leads with power. Perhaps the papers went to bed early and they have not captured the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Perhaps other papers would. But look at the big story. Grid collapses caused by insecurity in North, says Power Minister. Heavily armed terrorists, bandits hindering efforts to restore electricity. That's an interesting one. So we must reflect yet again on the contributions of the lack of power to other areas of national life. For instance, a big issue as security. Let's go above the top corner of this Nigeria. National Assembly probes 4 trillion naira revenue shortfall due to waivers. And yesterday we had a conversation on the budget, speaking specifically about the needlessness or the need to probe the service-wide votes. More stories on the front page of this Nigeria. Just one more and then we'll exit. FCTA bans scavenging, suspends Pantix operations in Abuja. Pantix operations in Abuja. Jeffrey, you have the next one.
Yeah, I think let's set to the New Telegraph, where the main headline there is insecurity. Simon Ekpa's arrest in Finland reduced tension in the southeast. That's according to the Chief of Defense Staff, CDS. Anambra kidnapped victims to expose abductors' dens as police begin operations. Tinubu assures nation will overcome its security challenges. Defense Ministry demands 20 billion for deceased personnel families. So all of that just right us to that particular story. So it's quite interesting to see by the report of the CDS that the aggression and some of the things that have been propagated, if you will, advanced, if you will, as well, by some of these elements that have been its force of instability in the southeast, is beginning to taper or come down, because it's quite critical and very sad at the same time to see that a very industrial hub of the nation, if it places like Anambra in Onitsha, for instance, Nnewi, for instance, in Anambra State, those are hubs, Ariaria in Aba, and all of these places. So these guys being stopped from going to do their businesses on Mondays is quite sad. But I was quite delighted to hear that people don't do sit at home in Enugu. I don't know how the governor did it, but whatever he did, I think is just simple. Whatever other governors should just ask questions and replicate it across board. I know the tension in other states may be higher than the others, because if in the southeast, for instance, the hub of commercial activity is basically Anambra and Abia. then you can put the rest in the mix. So you have Area market, you have Onitsha market, you have New. So those are actually the hub of some of these things. So
and the governor was quite categorical during the commissioning of some landmark projects about 2 weeks ago in Enugu, that they no longer obey the orders of non-state actors, that there is nothing like a sit-at-home order again. And I remember my conversation with a guest during that commissioning was quite categorical as well, that banks open, schools open, markets open, and there is practically nothing like sit-at-home order anymore in Enugu State. And this is also one of the states in the heart of the southeast rather. So that effort must be replicated such that we can also be seeing the exact same things about the other states.
Yeah, I'm seeing something just above below the nameplate, above that headline. Budget reps may recommend scrapping of agencies. I can't wait. I'm just can't wait. Anything. For instance, John Dramani Mahama has just reduced the number of ministries just for the purpose of cutting the cost of governance. But our president has stuck to his gun. Well, he's also say what we have to say and argue. But the president says he's not reducing anything. That he needs all of them to work. We are saying you don't need all of them. We are beginning to show you the incompetent ones, the ones that are not doing their job. So
perhaps this would be the time to ask Jeffrey what happened to the efforts to implement the Steve Orosanye report.
It's in the works.
The number of the reduction of agencies that were listed to be either merged or scrapped. There hasn't been any updates.
There are two things we are waiting for. That part. Also, is it state police now? There's also constitution amendment. So there's a lot to expect in 2024, 2025.
The president had ordered 12 weeks. There was a committee put up, and they are given 12 weeks. And it's quite interesting that during the presidential chat, the president said, well, no, I'm not considering that. So you wonder, what is going on here? Last year, the president had given a committee 12 weeks to consider that report.
Yes.
You get and take action on it. 12 weeks. And
of the state police?
Yeah. No, of the Orosanye report.
Yeah,
and that has since elapsed. Now, the joke people are making is, you see, the Orosanye report was made in Nigeria, right? But it received its mandate in Ghana. If you know what I mean. And it's just Nigeria's way of dealing with these issues because, the former president raised committees, white papers, nothing. Now, this current government also raised a committee, gave them a timeline. And here we are right now. But let's move on to the next paper, which is the Guardian newspaper. Yeah, the Guardian newspaper focuses on Armed Forces Remembrance. By the way, this Nigeria also has something on security for this Wednesday's edition. What you saw earlier was for Tuesday. So the Guardian has Armed Forces Remembrance Day, better equipment, compensation, prosecution of terrorists, top agenda. And just right under that big picture, you see the president's picture. And I think that speaks just gives you a sense of what to expect today, because the president, as I speak, is not in Nigeria. Yeah, he's in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai. So that means that, we'll see the vice president laying the wreath, except the president makes a comeback this morning,
and that will be a very quick comeback, by the way.
Yeah, which I seriously doubt. But the president is in Dubai, as we said earlier on. So there's a president of the UAE in that picture, president of Azerbaijan, our own president, and president of Rwanda at that Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week opening and prize award ceremony. By the way, Nigerian won the award, and the president posed with the Nigerian as well. But in case you're wondering, where is the president? There he is. There are a couple of other stories on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. I'm really spoiled for choice, Jeffrey.
There's a lot.
We're going to talk stocks, quite all right. But you see this one, investors lose 1.1 trillion naira from sell-off in I think this is 41 stocks.
So that is a risk part, actually. So if you have so the investors or the people in the market will actually advise you if you have a low risk appetite, which simply means you don't play with your money. If 1 naira goes from your money, you can always land in the hospital. Then go for fixed income, go for bonds, go for T-bills, go for those ones that no matter what happens,
low yield, but at least you're sure that
low yield, low risk, low risk, low yield, high risk, high yield. That's how it is.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
But if you in Nigeria, say if you keep mind, if you have your chest, if your chest is intact and you don't care, you can lose, because the game is the game.
Yeah.
You can gain 50% today or lose 50% today. I work. So if you can gamble it through, so these guys are used to it. So this sell-off is, maybe the thing is coming down, or they've made enough profit, they just, let's go.
So if you're...
There's something for everybody, actually. That's,
there you go.
explain. There's something for everybody.
As far as investments are concerned.
So if your name is in that investors, that word investors lose 1.1 trillion naira, not to worry, better days ahead.
Right?
Stay right here on the morning brief. Maybe we'll give you some explainer with Ladi Williams. So definitely will. So you get some more insight.
So don't be discouraged. Don't be like Nigerians that will keep all their money under their bed. Invest.
They do?
No, the point is that it's important we encourage people, even if it's 10,000 naira, 5,000 naira, 1,000. There are small investment. There are penny stocks. There are stocks as low as 22 naira, 10 naira per share. The reason is because when you put this money into the system, you are putting the money in the economy to gain, and somehow it trickles down to every other thing around the economy and can help our GDP. I think they are rebasing. So just take a portion. Yeah, if you don't want to put everything, just take a portion of it and help the economy.
Jeffrey, preaching the gospel of investment. I love this.
And keep an eye on your investment, by the way.
Definitely.
Whatever you decide to invest on, penny stocks or the huge bonds. All right, let's go to...
Just one, just to take this because it's
Okay.
brewing. Police threaten litigation, demand apology from Amnesty International. So you recall the End Bad Governance protest. The police gave the figure of those who died, right? And Amnesty International came up with a report and said, no, it is way more than this. And the police responded and said, no, it is not that. Now the police is saying Amnesty International must apologize, in fact, threatening to go to court over this. So very interesting scenario there, and we'll see how this plays out.
I think if Amnesty gave us documents, we saw those documents.
We saw those videos.
We saw names, we saw faces. They chronicled events that led to the deaths of these people. So if they are sure what they are doing, I'm sure they'll stick to their guns.
The police countered actually with their own evidence that said, no, these people didn't die as a result of this, and this is how these people died. And so they also tried. In fact, it took a while for the police to respond to Amnesty International, because I recall we reached out and the police said they're doing their own investigation. So they also responded after a while. So
I think the argument, I don't know what the bone of contention here is here. Is it the number of deaths or that people died? What is the bone of contention?
It's generally about Amnesty's report. I know the police have spoken about this, that, Amnesty's report contained things that were not true, painted the police in a bad light, and said it matter-of-factly. It's a statement that was put out by the police.
There must be a more deliberate effort at reconciling, because we had a list, as Jeffrey said. We saw some police officers. In fact, there was a particular police officer that was identified by Amnesty International to have been on rampage in a particular part of the country. So are there people who lost loved ones whom Amnesty International has identified as being on that list? So if there are families of survivors, they should come out and to either debunk the police's report and affirm Amnesty International's report, or affirm Amnesty International's report and uphold the police's report. These people are not spirits. The deaths happened in some communities, and the reports can be reconciled or jettisoned.
So for me, I don't know what the bottom line is, but if the bottom line is about how many deaths, it's a meaningless argument. People died, even if it's one person. But if it's about impugning on the image of the police, that's a different kettle of fish. So I can't speak too much and speculate on it. I don't know what their bone of contention is. If it's 10 people that died, 15 people that died, all of that. I don't even care about the circumstance that led to their death. That people died is a strong question. But so maybe they should head to court. The judges, the learned judges, will be able to determine all of this. But at the end of the day, we should do better in managing some of these issues as far as people dissenting voices and people protesting. We can do better. We thank the police for their service, but the argument with Amnesty International, we leave it to both of you. Ours is just that if people died, we're very, very sad about it. Guys,
important report, no doubt, but we're headed to
sports
Blueprint.
The back page of the Guardian newspaper has some sports for you. You would We will show you spots today. You'll see what's going
You
on.
must see what you want to see.
Okay,
What you don't want to see.
so we
Shell
have
to
a
meet
new
Osimhen.
Super Eagles coach.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Go ahead, Coyote.
Shell to meet Osimhen, Simon, others in Europe. That's Nigeria's new coach, of course, Eric Shell. And we understand he's set to embark on a crucial European tour next week. We also know that he's meant to visit the home-based Eagles, or the Chan, the Eagles headed for Chan Nations, that's the African Nations Championships, Chad. So afterwards, he's going to be heading over to Europe to see those players. Wonder what that is about, what will come out of it? Well, there you go. And just one more, Jeffrey Bukola. This is a lesson in, you know what, age is just a number. It's never too late, because Ronaldo may become world's oldest, highest paid footballer. So the fact that Ronaldo is old does not mean he will not be cashing out. So how old are you and you're thinking you can't do stuff?
He's not old in the context of old, but within the context of football, yes, he's
Of course, he's
old, yeah.
Yeah, look, I like the way the guy is growing in his career.
He's growing in his career, Jeffrey. He's 39 years old, a footballer.
No, he's
a
growing.
39-year-old
Because
footballer
the
is
mon-
like a 70-year-old.
Yes, he's growing. What I mean by growth, yeah, the money is talking.
Right.
It's an entire. His value chain is so incredible. He endorses loads of brands.
Yeah.
He opened his YouTube page and it went just astronomical. So he went to what do you call it now, Saudi, and a lot of international now head to Saudi because there's the big boxes there. I think at that age, if I was a footballer, when if I wanted prominence and all of that, I would stay in Europe, play. At some point when you know that you're not as young as you should be, head to the people that are just interested in spending the money.
£3 million per week.
You want to change jobs?
I'm content right here. So that's the Guardian's point.
So you
page.
£3 million can almost give you headache.
Be patriotic. Edo Queens hosts Abia Angels as NWFL Premiership begins today. How could you have missed that?
That's a
Kyle?
lack of patriotism.
Even though you don't want to become the oldest young player in Nigerian football. Okay. Do we have time for more papers this morning?
Yeah, I think we could do Blueprint.
Okay, we can do Blueprint. Let's go to Blueprint now. And Blueprint covers the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Look at the big story. War veterans protest over entitlements mustn't be allowed to fester. And at the top of that, ex-CDS Irabo at Armed Forces Remembrance Day. There's a rider that we can reflect on, urges tax rebate, post-traumatic stress disorder facility for retirees. And I heard the chairman Appropriations Committee at the Senate talking very passionately about the defense budget yesterday, and he talked about the need for priorities to be right as far as defense is concerned. Look at the recurrent budget. It was executed 100% in 2024 budget, but the capital expenditure, which has all of the components for the important sectors, be it infrastructure in other sectors of life, and especially the defense. So what's happening to that space? So as we reflect on the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, we must also talk about those other issues.
Yeah, Bukola, in addition to that, I think when I look at the budget, I don't see so much that would drive productivity. I see much of optimization. Because when I see under this 2025 budget for Information Ministry grossly inadequate Senate, and then NAS proposes 12 trillion naira revenue for customs, 180 billion for NDIEC. Customs the target was 5 trillion last year. They met that target. Now they've doubled it with an extra. This means things are still going to be expensive because these custom guys will be very aggressive with collecting VAT, collecting tariff and all of that. So I think this government should redirect their fiscal policy to productivity. There's a lot of aggression in terms of optimization. Taxation is simply optimization. It doesn't mean anything is growing. Although you can use it to implicitly drive productivity, but we need frontline, headline, straight up productivity, fiscal policy to drive productivity. Else, all of this ambition may not really come out well at the end of the day. If 60% of your budget is for reputation management and operations, which is debt service and recurrent expenditure out of 34-year or 36-year trying to accrue in terms of revenue, then I don't know what is going on. Anyway,
and Jeffrey, God help us if the exchange rate is stable this year, such that the economy would not have to pay excessively for immigration customs meeting its target. That would be yet another story, another sad story for the economy. Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll start that very first conversation. Armed Forces Remembrance Day is going to be all over the country. Every state capital is will be busy today, honoring and remembering the men and women who have sacrificed and who are still sacrificing for our national safety and sovereignty. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back to have that conversation. Join us again. Whilst we sleep, whilst we do whatever it is we do, go about our normal businesses and the things we carry out every other day, there are men and women right at the front lines facing terrorists, insurgents, fighting criminals night and day. And so January the 15th in Nigeria, for our international audience, we dedicated to remembering and honoring and celebrating these men and women. And that's why we're having this conversation on Armed Forces Remembrance Day. We'll be joined in the program by Director of Veterans Affairs, Major General Ibrahim Saliu. General Saliu, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good morning, Jeffrey.
It's good to have you on the program, and thank you for your service, and we thank the military for their service. But this is a ritual every other day for many decades now. For you who has been in service, on behalf of the service that you're speaking right now and the veterans, what comes to mind whenever this day comes?
Good morning, Jeffrey. Thank you for inviting me once more, and good morning, Nigerians. Before even this day, celebration starts before the January the 15th. And you have sober reflections of your colleagues that you have lost while in the battle area, and so many other veterans that we have lost years back. Please, let me take you back to the issue of this celebration. It's beyond just the issue of those who died within the country. We are talking about even the First World War. That is when the poppy, which is here, it came into use. And then instead of 11 November, we are now using the 15th of January for our celebration peculiar to Nigeria all after independence and the issue of the civil war that we had. So, of course, nostalgia when you remember some of the colleagues you are with in the battlefront, that you have lost them and you have lost them forever. And of course, they must have left a lot of people behind, wives, children, fathers, and brothers. So it sometimes brings sober reflection, but at the same time, give us hope that the citizens actually care about us.
So I want to find out sometimes what is because it's not a line of work that is easy. That's why we say the men are gallant, the men are brave, because not everybody can do it or everybody's willing. What drives the willingness from where you sit to be able to say, I want to take this line of work? Because today is about you, gentlemen and ladies, or men and women of the armed forces. What gives that motivation? What is it that is that driving force to say, I don't want to go to this, quote unquote, no work is easy, but less risky jobs. I want to do this for the sake of my country in a time where patriotism may be very low.
Jeffrey, you have used one of the words, patriotism. Patriotism towards your nation, ab initio from your wish to join the military. There are some that you offer them this and they don't even take it. There are some, even their parents want them to be there and they don't want to be there. So it's all about patriotism and sacrifice for a nation. Because our job is all about sacrifice from day one. There are people who have moved from training areas straight to battlefield. And I'll draw inference from the cosmates of the Chief of Defense Staff, General C.G. Musa. A lot of them passed out from the Nigerian Defense Academy straight to Liberia. And that's why a lot of them were lost. So also soldiers that left depot straight to the northeast. to fight insurgency. Of course, not all of them will come back. You know you are joining a profession that is highly risky and that death is coming at any time because you are trying to kill the adversary is trying to get to you. So the force is about patriotism and that you wish to sacrifice for your country. Ab initio, immediately you enter the service, is what you want to do. You want to sacrifice your life for the country. If you survive till dates, then you thank God. But you remember that there are others that have laid their life. So it's a very high risky job. We're not saying it's better than any other job. Every job has its own hazards, but this is high risky job. And that is why globally the military is being celebrated by various countries across the world.
And you know, that is very heartwarming to know that, you know, some will still prioritize patriotism to serve country above every other interest, despite the fact that, you know, the other fields can be more rewarding in terms of, you know, finances. So that's heartwarming and a good example to follow. Speaking of finances, we're very concerned about what our military servicemen across board go home with. These men have families, and sometime last year, perhaps towards the end of the first quarter, the CDS was concerned about the remuneration for his men, and he told us, you know, with privileged information, that they go home with 50,000 naira. We understand that it has been increased to about 100,000 naira, but the question is, has it been implemented? And if it has been implemented, I want you to tell us, sir, that is it satisfactory, you know, and is it commensurate with the amount of work that our servicemen put in to defend the territorial integrity of the country?
Bukola, when you come to remuneration, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that is equivalent to sacrifice. I sit here talking to you, I have physical permanent injury. No, Nigeria cannot pay me for that. There are people who have lost their limbs. Nigeria cannot pay for that. And that is why that aspect of sacrifice comes into being. Because you can't pay for the blood that people have spilled. You can't pay because those dependents that they have left, you have left them with heavy burden. So we are not talking about the monetary issue of the sacrifice. That is why it is called sacrifice, and that is why it's patriotism. So you are serving for the little that the country will give you. We are not saying that an increment will not be good for everybody, but that it is not the focus. The CDS is saying that because of the changing times of the economic development of the country, because we go to the same market with every Nigerian citizen, and as such, our troops need to have enough to be able to feed, because they are not being fed freely. They are only taking ration when they are in the battlefield. But they leave their families have to feed. And they have to also take care of other demands at home. Of course, you know the kind of society we are. We have extended families that depends also on you, that you need to also take care of. But it is not the focus of a soldier. Anyone who comes to this service because of that will definitely leave halfway. And we have had such kind of people. So the money is not actually the drive, and that is why I say it's patriotism and sacrifice. But it is also necessary that the citizens knows the kind of sacrifice our men and officers are giving to the country, so that they appreciate what they do. I think the soldiers appreciate whatever little thing you do to him. So the CDS is right to push for such increment, and also some other increment in future, and also for what is documented in the books to be implemented in terms of increment, not only for those serving, also for our colleagues, veterans who have served and they are alive today to witness this celebration. If you think about them and their remuneration is looked at intervals as is enshrined in the books, I'm sure there will not be the kind of protest we are seeing. I saw in the blueprint where they are saying the protest of the veterans should not be allowed to foster. And that is just the right thing. It doesn't happen anywhere in the globe. People will raise issues on remuneration everywhere in the world, but not to the extent where you allow military men to come and demonstrate. So it is a key issue that must be seen by each and every citizen of this country and by those in government. Good governance so that everybody will be willing to serve, because, you know, like I said, you cannot pay for a military service. It's just the simplicity. You cannot pay for it.
So I'd like you to push this further, because I don't think we will have done justice, at least for the veterans, if we don't give them some sort of closure, particularly those the former CDS talked about. And yes, the statement you referred to was made by former CDS General Rabo. So where are we with the payments of the entitlements to these veterans, some of whom we saw protesting? And, you know, it's just an irony for people that we trusted with the security of lives of millions of Nigerians. They literally held the lives of Nigerians in their hands, and they finish from service, they go back home, and the same Nigeria, or at least the system that is meant to take care of them, appears to abandon them, the same system that they were protecting. So I'd like you to speak to us about where are we now with the payment of the entitlement in terms of percentage. Are we 50% done? Because I know the president also stepped in at some point. Are we 50% done, 80%? Where are we, General?
Okay, like I said, on the issue of remuneration, and you see, on the issue of remuneration and the issue of protest, in the last protest that they had before, when the Minister of Finance came and spoke to them, it's about promise that we're going to pay you this 50%. We're going to pay you so period. And that is why sometimes it is necessary that when you speak exactly what you do. It is better you tell somebody that I'm going to pay you in the next 3 months than I say, okay, I'm going to pay you in the next 1 week, and actually I'm not saying the right thing. And if there is any infraction that stops you from doing that payment, you also have to also inform them in a good time. My last discussion with the head of the Military Pension Board, he said he received some funds for the payment based on that discussion they had during the protest, because he was there when the minister was talking. And the disbursement is an issue, and other entitlements, and they're talking about other palliatives. So the issue is about several other palliatives that are also supposed to be given to the veterans. When something is promised, you do it. And to go ahead on this aspect, I would say the First Lady, between December 2023 and December 2024, I think has expended over 3 billion naira in taking care of veterans and widows of veterans in terms of the issuance of palliative. Those are the kinds of narrative we want to give. The issue of remuneration shouldn't be an issue that will put our veterans in harm's way for them to be on the street protesting. It shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't allow those kind of things to happen, especially when you have a military pension board. So it's advisable that those who are saddled with the responsibility of taking care of this aspect look into it tenaciously and ensure that such payments are disbursed at the right time. Because the argument was that letters was not received when I listened to that protest. And my discussion with the head of the MPB told me he has sent a letter 2 weeks before that time. So you can do a lot of things, because for every infraction in any system, somebody must be held responsible, because everybody on the line of duty knows what he's supposed to do at a particular time. So beyond the issue of remuneration, which is not supposed to be at all a subject of discussion, because if you talk about something that is budgeted, something that is planned, you know the number of people you are paying, it shouldn't be a case of discussion leading to our veterans, both young and old, to be on the street. You know, some of them are aged, some of them are beyond 70, some of them are 80.
Right, General.
So it's not good for them to be on the street.
So do we have an idea, just as some sort of closure now, do we have an idea when they will be paid, or if this is being looked into? Because as you said now, promises were made and not fulfilled. And you can imagine if you have to receive an end. So do we have a definitive time, or how well are discussions on to ensure that this is done?
Kayode, if I tell you I am not interacting with the Minister of Finance, my line of discussion is with the head of the MPB, and I wouldn't want to say anything that would touch on my honor and integrity that I've built for over 3 decades. I am saying, based on what I've discussed with him, I cannot give you a definitive date of when those little funds and palliatives are supposed to be given to this veteran. I am just emphasizing that there is a need to do a lot to ensure that this thing is not done. So I can't give you any definitive date on the payment, because the definitive date means that that thing will be paid at that period. I'm not in control. I'm not even in touch with the man who is in actually control. I'm in touch with the man who will disburse when he's released to him.
So that's the Ministry of Finance. That's a Ministry of Finance that is in charge of this, General, if I'm correct.
Good. Yes.
So Ministry of Finance.
Because they're the one who disburses your money.
Right. Jeffrey.
All right, General, let's talk about...
The one who disburses the money to Military Pension Board. Military Pension Board also now share the money to the respective veterans.
All right, it's important. That's why we're raising this conversation on a day like this. As many things as we can open up, we'll open up so that action will be taken. But let's talk about military-civilian relationship. Sometimes it's quite frosty. Sometimes we've seen this thing happen even between military and government. For instance, the incidents of accidental bombings and killings and all of that that occurred, there's this back and forth. So at the end of the day, if we're not careful, it affects the ability of citizens and civilians to be able to support our armed forces to do their work more effectively. That the CDS has always said they need the civilians, they need the people to be able to do this work effectively. So in going forward, because we're looking for progress now, in going forward, how would you describe what should be the best way to enrich military-civilian relationship, given some of these things that have happened in recent past?
Yeah, the civil-military relationship is key to our job. And the Chief of Defense Staff vision is one of the things he has said regarding people-centric nature of his vision, and that whatever you are doing, if you don't have the buy-in of the citizenry, you are heading nowhere, because they are actually the judge of whatever you do. They are the ones who make commentaries, they are the ones who see. And if you find out, virtually in all the service headquarters, Army, Navy, and Air Force, and even defense headquarters, there are departments of civil-military relations headed by 2-star generals. And this is one of the ways where the armed forces is ensuring that whatever they are doing is in tandem with the aspirations and expectation of the citizenry. And a lot of other quick impact projects have been taken. I speak with you here. While I was in the Army headquarters, my fund was given to me to go to my community to do a CIMIC project for the benefit of my people. And so many other military officers were given such funds to do it in their community, so that they impact directly from where they come from, or where they have lived their life and where they want to situate such projects. So we are not different from the people. We are not different from the people. We came from the civil society and we are going back to the civil society. Nobody is born a military man. You are born somewhere in one corner of this country, and you decide to come and join this military, and you will go back to that corner of that country or any other place you decide to stay. So a lot is being done by the armed forces to ensure that that kind of relationship is fostered between the military and the civil populace. You cannot have a system with multitude of people without having an infringement. Infringement is part of the issue, but understanding and discussion about it is another thing, and that is what we should be talking about. You cannot have a system, or you cannot have an institution that has zero level of infringement in terms of people's rights and the rest of them. And of course, that is why we are human beings. So there are limitations to us, because we are also human beings like every other Nigerian citizen. But to tell you the effort that is being done by the armed forces is there, black and white, that virtually all the services have the department to foster this kind of relationship and undertake projects to impact. Even troops that are even on mission, they also veer off their operational duties to ensure they win the hearts and minds of the citizens in where they are operating. So that is the aspect, and that's why you see the military is doing virtually everything. Every little thing you see the military doing, it is because we are performing our secondary role in support of the civil populace, in support of the civil authority. So on the course of doing that, there is a lot that has been done. Even when the battlefield, we do that. If we have done that outside this country, why can't we do that in our country?
A lot to chew on there, Major General Saliu. But let's speak to something related, which should also ensure the efficacy of the work of the military in enhancing civil-military relations, to also reduce, Jeffrey's reference to the concern about accidental bombings, which is the level of fortification for our servicemen who are at the battlefront. I'd like you to speak to how protected they are, because we hear time and again about soldiers killed at the battlefront. Just 8 days ago, 6 soldiers were killed in the north. Do they have bulletproof vests? It's been 12 years of insurgency. Do our soldiers have something as simple as bulletproof vests? What kind of artillery do they have that can serve as a backup in case there are attacks that can protect them? I'd like you to speak to this very important issue.
Now, Bukola, you are coming into the field of force protections in the field. There is no soldier, and that's why every commander will ensure that his soldier is kitted up properly with his helmet, with his jacket to protect him. But you should know that we will not wear armor to cover all part of our body. That is just the issue. You can't wear armor to cover all parts of your body. You will be protected, especially from chest down to your waist, and of course your head, because you are wearing a helmet. But are you wearing a fragment jacket from your waist downward? No, you are not wearing a jacket from your waist downward. You are not wearing a jacket from your shoulder to your fingertips. So sometimes also, and that is why I would say it's a very high risky job. You see that, you said you want to do the work. So, and that is why I said, these are the little things we should look at to appreciate what these soldiers, what these young officers are doing in the field. Because you can't have armor all over you. Sharpness can cause death. A bullet, as small as it is, can cause death. And it depends on where it hits you. And that is the issue. The issue of kitting has been in the priority of all the service chiefs. All the service chiefs, including the Chief of Defense Staff. And the emphasis for people not to be carried away in terms of gallantry, not to wear them, is also being emphasized. So the idea is that the man is protected to an extent, but he was also exposed to danger because he cannot wear armor to cover 100% of his body.
All right, Major General Moss, thank you so much. Quite a conversation we've had with you, and we will continue to appreciate the servicemen and women for what they are doing for our country. Major General Ibrahim Saliu is Director, Veteran Affairs. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
All right, so Armed Forces Remembrance Day continues. We'll switch gears now to Port Harcourt, the River State capital, where we have standing by our correspondent, Deborah Agbalama, to give us update and bring us up to speed as to what is going on in the city. Deborah?
Yes, Jeffrey, good morning to you and the others in the studio. Well, Port Harcourt is already warming up. If the camera can just turn to the left, you will see for yourself that the parade and the people who are laying the wreaths are already laying it down. You can see the whole place is already geared up for the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. And for the 6th Division, which of course controls this area and the entire South, they have quite some names that they will be remembering today, like the killings in Okwama in Delta State, which is under 6th Division. And in Rivers State too, don't forget, not too long ago, we had a very gallant DPO who was killed in active service. SP Bako Anagbashin, he was killed recently too, during active service. So names like that resonate with today's Armed Forces Remembrance Day in Rivers State, Port Harcourt, taking place at the Isaac Borough Park here in the capital of Rivers State.
So I suppose that the event should start any moment from now. I can see is that Isaac Borough Park? Oh dear. All right, so Deborah, I wanted to find out, is that Isaac Borough Park?
Yeah, this is Isaac Borough Park, yes. Isaac Borough Park in Port Harcourt, just around the My1 bridge.
Okay, so we're going to check in on you.
That's where the event is taking place.
We're going to check in on you. We can see that a lot is going on all at the same time, and the officials will soon be there to do what they have to do. But as much as possible, we'll check in on you. But let's come back to the studio, Bukola.
As we continue to celebrate the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, we move on amid that same narrative. And joining us for this particular discussion is Colonel Salami. He's the Secretary, Nigerian Legion, Lagos Chapter. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, madam.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Pleased to meet with you.
Pleased to meet you,
And
sir.
thank you for your service.
And thank you, sir.
Yes, and that's our very first, thoughts for you. We thank you for your service. We thank you for your sacrifice to the nation. And that's what we're doing today. We're celebrating the service of our retired men, our veterans, and those still in active service. So as you reflect on this day, I'd like you to recall memories of your days in active service. And what are your thoughts as you reflect on this day about your contributions to security and the defense of Nigeria?
Thank you, madam. You said you thank me for serving the nation. We all are serving the nation. Not only the soldiers that carry gun also, as you are here also, we are serving the nation. I also thank you for that. Nigerian Legion is being managed by retirees, Army, Navy, Air Force, of which I'm one of them. My director here also, still in service, believing that he shall soon join us after his retirement. We try to protect our nation, as they call us. I was enlisted to the Nigerian Army in 1967, October 20th. I started my attack from Abudu Bridge. I was enlisted at 6th Battalion here, Ikeja. They told us we are going to complete our training at Benin. After General David Ejo was driven away, we got there, we spent only 1 week. Surprisingly, they took us off in the night, asked us to fall in. That is military ideology. We did, we went straight to the Amura, they gave us gun. Started asking, sir, we are here to complete our seal-up. No question.
I was smack in the middle of a civil war.
Yes, Nigerian civil war.
So that was your introduction into the Nigerian Army?
Yes.
You went straight to war?
Yes.
Wow.
I started attack from Abudu Bridge.
With very little training?
Yes. We spent only 6 weeks. They told us we are going to complete it at Benin. But surprisingly, they called us, they gave us gun, they kit us, gave us ammunition, move us forward. By then, that Abudu Bridge has been damaged by Biafra. So we managed the way, led by our commander, 7 Brigade, 71 Battalion. We started to Abo. We liberated Agbo. Moved to Umunede, Okpanamu, Uguashiku, Uselu, Asaba, to enter Asaba, December 1967. We were pinned down at Asaba. By then, Major G.G. Ali was our commander of 7 Brigade, 71 Battalion. They told us they are returning us back to Benin to complete our training, hoping it will be so. About 4 days after, they said we are crossing to Niger, Onitsha. Yeah, they moved us to where they call St. Patrick. We stayed there 24 hours. The following day, they moved us to Textile Mills, fairly close to Niger Bridge. Then, in the night, around 2 a.m., they blew what is called Bigu. We all came up, we moved again. The first and second Land Rover that moved enter into that damaged bridge of Niger. Not knowing it has been damaged, we are at the extreme end. First and second one perished. Then they stopped the fourth, which I was one of them. They moved us back. We now started crossing with Pontu to Onitsha. There we started another attack. To cut it short, October 68, I sustained injury on our way to Nnewi. They said we are going to liberate Nnewi. That was October 10. That day we lost 4 of our officers. My own, I thank God. It was Ubunibi. They called it Ejuku bucket. One of our soldiers entered the trap, caught the rope and started blowing. And the entire year, I'm having plastic here now. Some of my colleagues are having pipe here. So they moved us back. That was my 11 months in the jungle. We were moved to Bini. That's all I know. I didn't know how we got to State Armed Forces here. After I saw my leg cranked when I woke up. This man at Bailey, Dr. Bailey came there that day. I did not know he has recommended that they should amputate my leg. One of the ladies, this our nursing sister, he carried something, he said, Baba, I say, young boy, your leg is going to be amputated? I said, why? He said, it's only, I said, yes. He said, that is what is written by Dr. Bailey. He said, he will do me a favor. He removed the document there, put it under my mattress. I said, one Indian doctor is coming. If he check me, I may be lucky. And truly, when he came, he looked at me. He was speaking their language I did not understand. Somebody was interpreting to me. Then he asked me to do like this. That's all I know, sir. Until he now called me. He said, Officer, you are. You do like this, you are. Then he went. That lady came back again. He carried that thing and said, I'm lucky.
Wow.
They now take me to theater. That is where they now remove unnecessary things and put plastic. This is plastic here now.
Wow.
I thank God. That's how I see.
And you never went back to the field?
Again?
Did you ever go back?
I went back again.
You went back to the field?
Yes. Not intentionally. When they did this operation at Mushi, Omopupa, when they killed one of our soldiers at Mushi, we were at Conference Center with on wheelchair. I had the POP here, down my leg. Then they move on. They've removed that POP as at that time. Then they said they killed one of our soldiers at Mushi. We all troop out to attack that man. Brigadier General Mobolaji Johnson came to us. He addressed us, we disagree with him. Until we see the end of that Mushi, we don't want to see anybody at that Mushi again for killing one soldier. He appealed to us. We said, okay, let's thank God. We went back. About 2 weeks after, we wake up in the morning to eat. They say they are going to bring food to us. We should not go to kitchen again. And we used to go to kitchen to collect our food, not knowing they have arranged for military police to round us up. They brought this LMTS municipal. They pay us 19 pounds, 10 shillings, enter motor. That is how they took us to the airport, move us to Port Harcourt. It was the TSP that came to receive us.
What was the purpose? And I think this ties to the welfare, the issue of welfare. So why were you moved to Port Harcourt? But more importantly, how has your welfare been ever since you left the force? Because we spoke to the head of the veterans, and he said that, well, they've had an interface, but the Ministry of Finance is still yet to make do on that, promise to pay. So have you been paid? Do you know people who have been paid or have not been paid? Just speak to us about welfare.
Okay, some of our officers, this time about 2 weeks ago, they started paying this money. This 20% increment, then 32,000 naira increment, and all sorts. They gave us that money. They promised to pay the rest anytime from next week. That is what we are expecting. But it isn't that we are after. They are asking for war bonus. Those of us that fought the war, we are asking for war bonus. I retired 83 December, the day General Muritala and the day Mutukufa, the government from Shagari. That was the day we finished at the settlement center. They promised of heaven and earth that they are going to give us our war bonus, because it's already written on our paper that those of you that join army 67, 68, 69 will be given this war bonus.
Oh, the promise had been made. It's not that it's just
there.
a demand you're making.
Yes, up till now they have not paid us that war bonus.
How many years now?
It's 2 years. My own is 2 years and some days. It's there. I'm sorry, I didn't come with my certificate. It's there. Anyone that joined army 67, 68 to 69 but will be given that money. Up till now, we have not seen it. These are one of the things that concern us. 2 of our officers died about a week. 1 died 4 days ago. All of us are agitating for this money. They've left now. Their family are suffering.
How many of you are left?
That are left? I cannot
Civil
say.
War veterans.
The veteran in Lagos now, we have 24,000 that are registered. Of course, we die suddenly like that.
So besides the war bonus, because it's also an opportunity to bring your issues to the fore so you can make your demand, and remind the government, perhaps they have forgotten, because I'm hearing your dates. Some of us were not born in those days. So over 50 years, almost 60 years or so of those promises. You retired over 40 years ago.
Yes.
So there's a lot to, when you were telling us your story, we're just looking at you and so many things was going through our head. What exactly would you want the government to do that is quite urgent, speaking on behalf of everyone who is in your position?
Okay. Nigeria Legion has been established for retirees. We have been in the Legion now for years. We thank our state governors for taking us off, but the federal government has not been doing anything for us. Unlike Lagos in particular, starting from past governments that have been assisting us. They give us money, like quarterly allocation. They call it stipend, but we don't call it stipend because it is manageable for us. They assist us, they give us vehicle, though we are still asking for more. The federal government, we want Ministry of Defense to direct all states to take Nigeria Legion up by recognizing us, giving us job opportunity. But not all of us are physically okay. Those of us that are still manageable in working, let them recognize us in the state. Governors are recognizing us, but local government, they don't. They allow us to come in, but they don't give us something to do. They are paying some people 15,000 naira per month. What are they to do with that?
So what kind of job would you suggest that you should be doing?
Well, it's to our skills in the service. They don't recognize us. When you say you are an ex-serviceman, all they tell you is security. And not all of us are general duty officer. We have all fields Unlike me, I'm a clerical officer. I'm C2 typist, confidential typist, and that is how I've now become the secretary of the Legion. We have all skills like that in the army, retire with, but they don't give us that chance. When they just say ex-soldier, security, be at the gate, porters, and so, they don't allow us to carry out our experience and knowledge.
It's quite a lot to chew on, and really your experience and what you've told us is really jarring. I'm trying to imagine what you went through, and I wonder, sir, if you had a child or someone close to you that said, I want to join the army, because I hear your stories, I want to join the army, would you say, go ahead and join, based on your experience? Would you advise them?
For now, I will never recommend any of my child to join Nigerian army for now. Why? Because I am the father. They are seeing me now that my life is not to their expectation. They will want me to be higher than this, full of joy and every other thing that can make them to be happy. I will now encourage them to go and join the army. I have 2 graduates now. I said, never you think of going to the army. If you want to join, maybe Navy or Air Force. I've not been in there, but I've been seeing them and I've been hearing about them. They were treated better than Nigerian army because we know we are ground soldiers. So I don't.
So what must change for you to now say, okay, you can join? I see these things have changed in the army, then you can join. What are those things you want to change?
Well, I want the government now. Imagine somebody called me from Maiduguri yesterday. He said, this Lakurawa, they have divided themselves into 2. They were coming to their side, according to them, on Friday this week. And the rifle they gave them is this our general rifle, Setimi, SLR, G3, or so. While the one they were using, they said when they range, they receive as far as about a mile.
Wow. That's the Lakurawa people.
Lakurawa people. And when they see
they have superior weaponry.
Superior, very sophisticated one.
To our own men.
No, to they gave their men, the Lakurawas are using.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Men are using useless rifle. The one that cannot go beyond at least quarter of a mile. But these people, when they shoot from far distance, they will aim and get the target. They said about 2 weeks ago, they just bombed somewhere, and the footmen, they came and got our men. 6 of them were killed at a point. That boy told me yesterday that they mounted them at checking point. They were the one that tried to go to climb the tree. Because if the people see them on the ground, they will quickly target them. But from where they are, they will be seeing them from far distance. When they now see that they are very close to them, they will start to run away. Let government come to their aid. I want to say something. If you could remember, sometimes ago, our president, maybe during the election in campaign, he recommended that government should employ about 5 million soldiers, forces. People were shouting this. We are saying yes. This is our population of the country. Over 200 million, I suppose. Why can 5 million not be recruited? Let them recruit them, establish division, brigade, battalion to man all-round defense in all our nation. With that number, Army, Navy, Air Force, we all know police are law enforcement agents. During we met Edet in his report, he did not call police force. It was during this Kemselian regime that he started calling Nigerian police force. We have armed forces that comprises of Army, Navy, Air Force. Police are law enforcement agents. Let them employ about this 5 million to establish more division, brigade, battalion to man all our boundaries from A to Z to click themselves like this. We will conquer all these terrorists with that.
You're confident that
I have that confidence. Yes, when we have sufficient manpower and very good weapon to operate. If I'm still called upon now, I suppose, with this man, I will.
Joyfully, this destination.
Yes.
How old are you now, sir?
I'm 76 this year.
And you're
And
ready
you
to
still offer
serve.
your service?
I think, what is it for me to do? If I have the means, I will lead. That experience I did not get is still there.
Thank you for your service.
One more question, sir. How do soldiers deal with post-traumatic stress disorder?
You see?
PTSD,
Like the
memories
trauma
of
from the war.
trauma from the war.
Oh, it's not something to write about. You go to rehabilitation center or like resettlement center now, go and see those that are, not all of them are ready to retire, but from what they have experienced and what happened to them, the trauma they have been envisaging before made them to say, let us go. For us not to be a victim of this maybe oncoming also.
We could go on and on hearing your story, memories from the war, and your aspirations for the Nigerian Armed Forces. But we thank you so much for your service, sir, and for coming to share your thoughts with us on this very important occasion of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. We've been talking with Colonel Salami. He's the Secretary, Nigeria Legion Lagos chapter. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
I feel we could just rise and just celebrate him and others, because it's no, you sit down, sir.
You sit down. Thank you for your service.
Thank you so much for your service.
I'm grateful also.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much. Please sit.
Okay.
We're celebrating you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, we'll take a quick break now. So, we don't know. We just got lost in the conversation, and you can understand why. War is not something you talk about lightly, but these men have given their lives, and that's why we're doing this today. It's one of the most impactful remembrance they have ever been part of. Today, I will not forget it in a hurry. We'll take a quick break when we come back. Join us again.
Welcome back to the program. Of course, it's the Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration. We're celebrating our servicemen, and none of us will forget that last conversation in a hurry. But what are you saying about today and other big stories? You've been talking a whole lot about crime, health, development. Let's start with that event in Nasarawa State, which got a lot of Nigerians talking on social media and wondering, what has altered the man's thinking. It's the story about the murder suspect who says he has no regret. But we have a video, first of all, before we begin to explore some of your talking points. Let's have the track.
She hide most of the things from me most times, because I saw her phone. Like I said.
What did you see in the phone that made you very angry?
Most of the chat with the other guys. That's what I saw on the phone.
So that was when you decided to kill her?
Yes.
Do you have any regrets?
I don't have any regret. Life is reciprocal. That's what I thought. Life is reciprocal. And if you must be with someone, you have to be reciprocal with that person. You have to understand what that person is going through, so that you can actually put yourself in the position that kind of person is going through. So that was why I didn't have any regrets.
You heard him, the gentleman there, saying he has no regret. Life is reciprocal. Is life reciprocal about, murder? Do you repay evil for evil? Well, you are talking also this morning. And the first user is Toke the Realtor, who says, no sign of remorse whatsoever. By the way, what is he saying, Seth? Is he high? Well, more like broken. The director is just telling me now, that is definitely not a gentleman. Let's go to the next user this morning, who is Lord Haywire, who says, I mean, what's the need to regret when you're fully aware of what you did and then you've been caught already? But there should be something within the human constitution that has the capacity for remorse. Now, if it's not there at all, then that is rather hopeless. But the next user again is Yazid Sada, who is overwhelmed and says, unbelievable, no regret for taking another's life. And TJ2 says, we need capital punishment to cut down innocent killing in the country. We need less and less of such people in the society who will take another's life and will have absolutely no remorse about their actions. But let's go to the next talking point this morning. This time it's about health, and Nigerians are talking about the federal government confirming the bird flu outbreak in Kano State. Now, a health worker, I suppose, is the first commentator this morning, who is nurse. Your handle says you are nurse. Thousands of birds are already dead and you're just hearing about it now. The agricultural ministry needs to be held accountable for this lack of preparedness. Well, we need more of such reports to come in, about the impact of bird flu in not just Kano State. Is it happening in other states of the Federation? Let us know what you may have witnessed. Possibly, send us a picture. We also have our WhatsApp hand of fellowship to all of our users, all of our viewers. So let's know firsthand so that we can amplify these events. Thousands of birds dead already has, portends, something very grim for the agriculture sector. We're already talking about poultry and the ever-rising cost of eggs. So let's go to the next user, who is Ayodeji Kayode, who's asking a question. What are they doing to fix the situation? Precisely, is there a partnership between the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Health to contain this? One more user is speaking this morning. Gochano also has numbers to his name, 010. Gochano 010 says, then for announce this thing before Christmas, what's the need of announcing it now after we don't buy chicken for 30,000 naira? Well, your price is pretty moderate. Some people bought chicken for as high as 40, 50,000 naira during the Yuletide. Is this also perhaps what contributed to the very high cost of poultry during the Yuletide? Well, we need more answers from the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. Now, going to the next talking point. Federal government to spend 8 billion naira on orientating Nigerians on payment of electricity bills. That's according to the Minister for Power, Adebayo Adelabu. And I've had cause to look at some of these talking points to this particular subject matter, and I couldn't help but chuckle to some of the things that you're saying. But 8 billion naira is a life-transforming sum. So, spending it on orientating Nigerians, will that fund go to the NOA, that's the National Orientation Agency? How will it be expended particularly? Is it for enlightenment campaigns on social media, on the traditional media? We need more answers about how this the sum will be spent. But Ease is the first user, and he says, rather than an orientation, why not invest the amount in generation and distribution? Well, a very compelling thought there, considering the amounts that we've been told is required to repower the national grid equipment when they collapse. A huge sum there. But Big Kazai also says, why them no kuku use that 8 billion naira, pay the bills for us now and give us free 24 hours light 7 days straight. Lasso, well, now goes into another language, Yoruba to be precise. He says educate. He says that alone has provided us education required. Well, Interesting thought there, big Kazai. Udeme is the next user, and Udeme says 8 billion on electricity bills orientation in a country where national grid that fails twice every month. Yet another compelling thought there. Two more to go on this one. Good Samaritan says use 8 billion to procure and distribute more prepaid meters. Nigerians are more informed than this already. No one orientates them on how to use their smartphones. Stop abusing our collective intelligence. Well, perhaps we should also ask what exactly is happening in the rural electrification space. There are reports that there are many more Nigerian homes that are not connected to the national grid and have not had power in a number of years. So is there a data on homes connected to the national grid that are actually being supplied power so that we can, better channel funds? And that will be all on trends for today. But there's one particular subject that maybe we'll just take one comment. It's CBN sanctioning banks for failing to dispense cash via ATMs. And Olajide Taiwo says it's a good development. How can we go to several ATMs and you won't get cash to dispense, and right beside the same bank you have multiple POS operators with unlimited cash? Good question there. I just had to take that one. But so that's it for trends this morning, but we have very much more coming your way on the program, and Jeffrey is standing by with more.
Absolutely. So we're happy that the CBN is doing what they have to do to sanction so that we can get the monies we need to get to. That's why we brought in Ladi Williams here, our business anchor correspondent. I want you to talk about that development as far as it's concerned. Also seeing that, I'm seeing from the headlines that investors lost about 1.1 trillion in their sell-off in about 41 stocks.
Yeah, so a lot is going on, in the banking space at this time. And, there's something I do now. When I go to, let's say, a public place where there's an ATM, I notice there's a lot of dust on it. And I just go there and I just write, operate me. That's what I do at this time. I'm going to record, one of that, because it is quite, annoying going to the ATMs and you cannot, get cash. We know what's happening also when you try to get, cash over the counter. So there is a cash issue at this time. It's quite interesting, seeing the CBN now blowing, hot flames to some of these banks. We're also seeing the banks also, owing the USSD debts to telcos. So the banks are at the eye of the storm, right now. And we're seeing, some of that play out, in the market. But let's get a check on what's playing out with oil, first. A dramatic drop last night for the oil market, and the Energy Information Administration, that's the official energy statistics agency for the U.S. Government. They have given some projections what to expect for their short-term energy outlook. So they're saying oil prices will be under pressure over the next 2 years. They're looking at their crystal ball. That's what it's telling them. Analysts are seeing some kind of oversupply of oil to the market. Simple economics there. Too much supply and demand not matching, prices will come down. They're also predicting the price of Brent is expected to drop 8% in 2025. Knowing that Brent did not perform well, in 2024 was down about 2% for the year, but started the year quite strong, getting
I'm seeing $80.
Back above $80, touching $81. But that outlook from the EIA. That drop prices.
Are we in danger here? 75, because we're doing $75 per barrel on our estimation.
Exactly.
Although the budget has not been passed.
Definitely, that is not good. That projection is not good, for government revenue. That's, talking about Nigeria. But on the flip side, that should be good for PMS prices, because normally, they say
good for us, the consumers.
The consumers, they say if oil prices go down, PMS prices are expected
should go down.
Should go down, but that's not the case in Nigeria. We see stability, not a drop in the price of PMS when oil prices go down.
I think if in 2025 do stronger stability, not necessarily.
I don't mind stability.
Stability is a good start. Strengthening may be an overkill.
Right. So we'll take that.
Let's talk about.
Then for digital currencies, over the weekend, a big plummet there for price of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and most of the cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin retested $90,000 level, even dropped below that, 89,000. That was over the weekend to Monday. On the flip side, we see it's back up 1.49%. That's for Bitcoin. Ethereum also following suit there, 1.23% jump. So it was in a recovery at this time, but investors are watching out for what's going to happen in the U.S. It's inflation reporting season.
Yeah.
And
Inflation numbers are coming out today as well.
Even for Nigeria.
For Nigeria, yeah.
And fun fact, we're not getting it from the MBS website. We're going to get it from another.
Oh, really?
Somehow, yes.
Yeah,
we'll get that inflation data.
We'll get it.
But obviously not with the new rebasing, that we've had recently. That will start in January. So now, after that, let's look at what played out with the NGX yesterday. The biggest major drop in 2025.
1.7%.
1.7%, 103,662 points for the all share index, and
that's so big, anyway.
Yes, it's a big drop.
Yeah,
from a mild 8 basis points. The previous trading session, and let's see the market movers. The culprits there. We see Dangote Cement. Yeah, once Dangote Cement sneezes, the market will definitely feel it. 9.98% drop.
The margin of
10%.
gains and losses in the NGX is quite interesting when you look at other markets around the world, like the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ.
Yes.
Ours is a 10.
Yeah, those 10.
10, 9. Theirs is one marginal, small.
It's quite marginal, but sometimes you see some big moves.
Okay.
Yeah, also in those markets. And we also see MTN Nigeria. So after that announcement that the telcos will finally get that tariff increase that they've been begging for the longest time now.
Cost-reflective tariff, they call it.
Yes. So we saw MTN Nigeria reacted, gained about over 20% in those trading sessions, but we saw a pullback yesterday, 3.72%. Makes sense. Take some profit off the table. That's for some.
So if you're talking to people that are trying to invest right now, NGX is still the place to go, right?
NGX is still fun, at this point. I've seen how strong, it started 2025. Then another one. This one's in the eye of the storm at this point, FBN Holdings. In the past week, it's down about 9%, over 9%. And for obvious reasons, we've seen that battle between the billionaires and
billionairing.
So 0.18% jump for yesterday. So the question now is the bottom in for FBN Holdings? Is it time to start looking at this stock? Definitely. We have some updates, this morning. We see that legal battle took a dramatic turn today with First Bank getting an order there from the court in Port Harcourt, the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt, to arrest and detain crude oil cargo on board the floating production storage and offloading vessel in Tamara. So it remains to be seen at the end of trade today if that is bullish.
Yes, okay. The market has not actually opened, so we'll get to see how it starts.
We'll find out.
All right, so Larry Williams, thank you so much for your analysis, as for bringing us up to speed as to what's going on in the market. And we're also looking out for the inflation numbers to know what happened in December.
Right.
Larry Williams is business anchor and correspondent. We'll take a quick break. Now, when we come back, we'll switch gears away from the monies to the arts. Join us again.
Let's take you into the beautiful world of the arts. When there are different things happening here and there, you look at the economy, you look at your pocket, arts maybe gives you that very good escape away from the reality, which is sometimes harsh, and you can even create your own reality using art. So we do not joke with art at all. I think it's one of the best gifts that divinity gave man. And this morning, we're joined by someone who's at the forefront of pushing, brilliant artworks, not just in Nigeria, across the world. We're joined by Dr. Kunle Adeyemi, contemporary Nigerian visual artist, consultant, and lecturer. a veteran artist, I should say. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Welcome to the morning brief.
Thank you very much.
First, your outfit is just art.
It's culture. It's culture.
It's culture.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, today is Armed Forces Remembrance Day.
That's right.
But you are also a force
Okay.
in the world of art.
Yeah.
So I want you to speak to us about your journey, first of all, because I know a lot of young people look up to you. Maybe some of them have been looking forward to a conversation with you. So let me channel that. Let them channel that conversation through me and walk us through your journey as an artist. How many years have you been doing this for, and how rewarding has it been?
Well, thank you so very much. And again, thank you for channels that have actually started this discourse. You know, quite the art house has been, and then so channels, television helped to, you know, make art visible all over the world. And so people call me, oh, they saw you in UK. People say, yeah, we saw you on channels television. People in the US say, I saw you. When I said, well, that's it. The journey so far, well, I have started this journey happenstance, you know. My father identified that talent in me, you know, when I was
quite some time.
But I used to play football.
Wow.
Yes, and he didn't want me to play football, you know, because that time footballers are not treated well. The days of Thunder Balogun, so much of them. And so we found out that in my state, in my town, Ondo town, we see footballers on the wheelchair, you know, broken legs and all that. So my father didn't encourage it at all, you know. So, but so he knew, he saw the art in me, so he occupied me with that, you know. And as he took me to a local artist, you know, who, when I come back from school, we used to have Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, Form 5, you know, Form 3. He used, he put me under that street artist, you know, that's in 1973, you know, and that I started growing from there, started knowing what that man was doing. I finished my school certificate very well, and again, he wanted me to become a doctor. Medical, that's the dream of parents those days. You know. But he took me to one of his cousins, you know, late Adewale, who was actually a medical doctor. He works in Gobi Hospital or something like that. And I said, this young man, my son wants to become a doctor. And the man looked at my results, said, wait a minute. This can't be, this guy can't be that he didn't have chemistry, he didn't have physics.
So that was your lifeline, that was the saving grace.
But on the second note, he looked at the result and wanted to give me back the results. I said, look, this guy have alpha in art. He said, he come to my father and said, this young man can actually be an artist. Look at art, literature, history, and all that. That's his end. And that was where my father discovered that, oh, I have actually been doing it, you know, but I didn't know. So that's where my art journey started.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And here you are right now. I want to dive into your work, Paintograph and Paintocast rather. And, you know, I see your work, and first it stands out.
Okay.
You want to ask who did this?
That's right.
I mean, we have a lot of them. This is you right here.
Oh yes, that's one of the mural I did for National Museum, gratis. You know, I actually volunteered to do that for National Museum.
Wow.
Lagos, yeah. Sometimes I do those charity works. Yeah, pro bono, yeah. I took my students there. I was the dean of the art school, Yaba College of Tech, at a particular point in time. So I took my students there, and we helped to, you know,
let's beautify the space.
Beautify the space, exactly.
I know you've definitely lost count how much work you have done, how much you have sold. But what is that unique style? How are you able to first? Because it's a mix of different things. As an artist, you want to convey a message.
Yes.
Now, sometimes conveying that message can be tricky because some might not be able to relate with that message. But again, you have to make it relatable. You know, they say artists are like gods.
Okay.
In that sense.
Priests.
You know, so you have to step down. As much as you are in that spiritual space, you have to also step down so people can relate with what you're doing. And there's also the economic angle of it. You have to make money. So how do you blend all of those interplays?
Okay. Well, the art school, fortunately, I attended Yaba College of Technology from 1979 to 84. And so the primary aim of that college, that art institution, is to make you an artist that will be useful to your community. not just an artist that will be theorizing, you know, so we are on the practical level. And so our lecturers and Kolade Oshinowo, Yusuf Grillo, they will ask you to tell you, look, you go from realism to the unknown. You know, you just don't go and do abstract or anything. You must, they teach you how to go about it. Drawing, you know, do so many of these things, and then, so you are first the real person before you start theorizing, before you start doing some other things. So that forms the basis. You know, so when we're growing up, again, the artist is the driver of the vehicle, you know, and so you can actually, and then you aside from doing the mundane, you just be able to go into something special, just like some of our masters, Bruce Onorapeya, Kolade Oshinowo, Jegede, Professor Grillo, and so on and so forth. So they started from somewhere and they moved to where people would now art has something in common. I mean, some people will sit down and begin to study. You can study an artwork for a year and you still be very interested.
Right.
That is just exactly.
Sir, I want us to study your work on the show this morning. So what we've done is curated some of your work.
Fantastic.
And we'll be putting them on the screen.
Yes.
And you'll be walking us through some of your work. So let's start with this one. It looks like my director has a preference for this. So let's begin with this.
This is titled Female Form. The female form. I did some series on females. You know, I love the feminine gender, and I love the creation of God upon them.
Oh, certainly.
You know, everything about women, they are all finished. The man is done to a level scripturally, you know, but the women. So by the time I looked at the women, I love some things about them. I'm not a womanizer, but I know that. So this is actually looking at the figure of the woman. Right. You see the round, the roundness in some of the areas, you know, and all that stuff. So that, but the method, you know, the experiment I did, it was a research, you know, while I was doing my PhD, so I said, look, Kunle, you have been painting, you have been drawing, so let us do something different. You know, so I started looking at how I want to amalgam painting and printmaking. Printmaking is a genre, and the painting is another genre. Before then, the painting, you have that block. Printmaking, you have that block.
So you brought them together.
I brought them together, fused. You know, look at some areas, you know, in printmaking that I can actually put into printing, and I blew up.
So what material? And this is another one.
Yes.
I love this one.
Fantastic. It's a musician ensemble. You know, some of my areas that I've studied were social commentary, fine. You know, but the other areas are the culture-related areas. You know, the drummers, those who make you happy, women, environment, you know, things. You know, so some of those areas are things that I sit down sometimes and I conceptualize and I put on.
This is metal.
Metafoil. Metafoil is a different technique. You know, I learned that from Bruce Onorapeya, who is a veteran in that area. It's a little bit. It's not what we teach in school. But I choose to begin to teach my students now, because each time I go outside the country to exhibit or to do residency, the Igbo man will say, but Kule, what about this? What about that? So I know that it is even...
There's a lot of demand for it.
Exactly. So I now say, look, my country, my children, I mean, my students should be able to benefit from this area. You know, so using unconventional materials, you know, something that is used for building, something that is used for some other products, and bring it to the art.
How long does it take, or did this take?
Okay, this, for instance, if I concentrate on it on a regular, because it goes from doing, of course, you have to conceptualize the drawing, then go into the sculpture aspect of it, you know, charging and recharging, and at the end of the day, you now do the mold, and from the mold, you now place your foil, and then you burnish the foil. When you burnish the foil, you now strengthen it again with resin or iodide. And so it takes a lot while, it takes time. So it's a project. You know, some of my works are projects, you know, 3 months, 2 months. Yes.
So it's understandable if you put a price to it.
Yes, I put a price to it.
And it's a very fair price.
You know, these days, one is getting a little bit older at 66.
Right.
What happened is that I have some of those children or some of those students that I've trained, you know, in my studio, you know, and at that, it's a division of labor, you know. Why am I doing this? I teach them so that they can actually have something that we can popularize that art too.
True.
So it's important.
Brilliant. So they always say a success is not a success without successors.
Yeah.
So that's what you're doing.
That's it.
Basically replicating
That's
yourself.
Right. That's
so we're able to enjoy
and
this.
I'm encouraging every artist to do that.
I was going to ask if it's too late for me to take up this job.
Why not? We can do masterclass. We can do some
Adult
masterclass.
classes.
No, but you see, it's a therapy.
Right.
You know, when you know it's not just for the bread and butter, but people like you will them. After all, there's this one president that learned painting. And so when the hula baloo of, you know, the administration and all that comes in, and he goes right into his recession and just paint and forgets, you know, and put some light music. You know.
We should try that. Well, we have to thank you so much. Thank you for sharing from your wealth of creativity, knowledge, and all of that. We'll be speaking with Dr. Colonel Salami, contemporary Nigerian visual artist, consultant, lecturer, and veteran artist. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Again, thank you, Channels Television. Thank you, Art House. And thank you for what you're doing in the world of art.
Thank you so much.
It's a good encouragement for the Nigerian art. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, sir.
You know, funny enough, channels go to every nook and corners of this country. Port Harcourt, Anambra, you know, discovering the art.
Because there's so much beauty in that.
Yes. You know, the art of this country can sell this country.
Thank you for appreciating
and we make
that,
so much money from that.
We're grateful, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Well, there you have it. I will keep bringing you all of this beauty. But we have to take a break now. Of course, I'll continue my conversation with Dr. Salami. I'll be right back on the Morning Brief. Enjoyed that segment.
Yeah, I used to draw very well. Yeah, I was so good. Let me not tell you my
pick
story.
It up again. There's a therapy.
Yeah,
you don't even have to sell.
Yeah, I used to draw pretty well. Like I almost was sent to a technical school.
Let's do a challenge on the show. We should all paint something on the show.
I recuse myself.
No way.
Recuse. So today is Armed Forces Remembrance Day. It's going to be all over the country, different capitals of the nation, as well as the Abuja FCT, where our armed forces will be remembered, as well as celebrated and honored for their sacrifice. You had a conversation with Colonel Salami, quite a touching story, and which is why we must continue to honor these men who put their lives on the line. But we must thank you for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Bye-bye.
And we wish all our men in active service strength to continue the journey and, you know, better days ahead in terms of their reward in every sense of the word. And of course, for those who have paid the ultimate price, we commiserate with the families of the loved ones and pray for strength for them as well. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Bukola Koka.
Well, that's what we wear it on our chests. Stay with Channels Television. We'll give you all of the information and the live visuals from the events. I'm Karadoki Kyolu. Stay with us. Goodbye.